The Ministry of Works and Housing says it is committed to ensuring that all buildings are disability friendly and is willing to go by the newly drafted building code. This was after the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations presented a petition for the inclusion of accessibility features in all public infrastructure. Nancy Emefa-Jadosi was at the ministry and reports.
One after the other, they had to find their way into the ministry's building with a lot of difficulty. Considering it is the ministry supposed to ensure that all buildings were accessible to persons with disability, it was found seriously wanting. After about 30 minutes of waiting, the Deputy Minister and Chief Director walked in for proceedings to begin. The spokesperson for the group, Reverend John Meffel, was outraged over the failure of successive governments to seriously monitor and ensure that buildings are disability friendly.
Accessibility for persons with disabilities is a right. The excuses are enough. Action now. Government should show by example and adapt all government buildings immediately so as to have the moral justification to sanction the rest of society that is not complying.
He also had several recommendations for the ministry, which he says they will be monitoring closely.
No bid should be considered on presentation without meeting the accessibility criteria. 3. Ensure sanctions are brought on any contractor who fails to comply with the accessibility provisions of the law.
When he finally got the chance to speak, the Deputy Minister of Works and Housing, Eugene Boakye-Ntwi, first apologized to the Federation for their inability to receive their petitions on Monday.
Yes, I will apologize on behalf of the ministry and our good selves that your visit to this premises on the 3rd was not communicated to us, unfortunately, and you met our absence. We do apologize for that.
He also pledged his ministry's commitment to ensuring that all buildings comply with the building code, which was launched by the Vice President.
The code has been launched, but the regulations to see to its effective implementation are also going to be launched soon, so that we can give true meaning to the building code.
Speaking to JoyNews after the presentation, the Vice President of the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations, Maunyo Yakodegba, noted that they will make sure that they follow up on the promises the minister had made.
We are following through with our plan to ensure that ministers of state adhere to the act that was passed by Parliament.
Meanwhile, they are asking all government institutions to lead by example by ensuring that all buildings are accessible to persons with disability. Nancy Emefa-Jadosi, JoyNews.
Now, that meeting was possible because the members of the disability community aired their concerns and how they were ignored at that particular ministry, the Ministry for Works and Housing, here at JoyNews. And that was how this meeting happened again. So Nancy went forward to ask the Deputy Minister about what was going to happen to already built structures that are not disability friendly now that they've, launched a new building code. Here is his response.
Go to your village now and try and tell them that you are going to collapse or demolish the existing family house and build a new one and see the reaction. Because people have bought lands, take a place like Ashtown in Kumasi, do you know that? All those properties there are over 100 years. Right? Some have village issues, some have some don't even have toilet facilities in there. Some don't even have pipes, water, in there. And you go and tell them that you are going to create a disabled access. You see the backlash. So that's why Chief is saying that laws are not meant to have retrospective effect, right? But once this is launched and the regulations come into being, every Ghanaian or everybody building in this country must adhere to the building code as well as the regulations that will come out of. Anyway, like Riley said, we have agencies operating under this ministry: Architects Council, engineers, and AESL, as the government consultants. And once this is launched, so once the regulations come into being, they are the people in charge of the built environment in our country. So they all come together and make sure that, like, right, some of the buildings that we can create disabled access. I don't think I think we talk about public and private buildings where we need to create these accesses for the physically challenged people in our society. I think that shouldn't be a problem. But the ones that we cannot do, right, due to lack of space or what have you, or structural setup or what have you, then I think we just have to let them be. But every building that springs up in our country will have to conform to the building code and the regulations once, you know, once we are done with the regulations. Yeah.
All right, so you have the Deputy Minister there. He says the laws are not meant to have retrospective effects. Well, I beg to differ, Mr. Deputy Minister. This should have, because people who live with disabilities, they should have access to buildings.